The identity of this Trials boss is a major story spoiler for the entire game. As such, this is a spoiler warning. Do not watch this video if you haven't reached this part of the game yet. You've been warned. Hello and welcome to this updated video guide for completing the final day in Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. My name's DS, and in this video you'll learn everything you need to know to finish this. The End Singer really only has one mechanic to wrap your head around, so let's take a look. As the main tank, pull the boss and enjoy your level 90 rotation. As the off tank, be a DPS, but keep your tank stance on and shirk to the MT. Shortly into the fight, the End Singer will cast the first Elegia, which is the biggest pain point of the encounter, so listen up. In addition to some immediate group damage, this attack spawns 2 planets a distance apart somewhere along the edges of the room. Both of these planets will begin to move around the edge of the room in the same direction. The kicker is that one planet moves a lot faster than the other, meaning they will eventually collide. The edge of the room they collide near will get hit by a huge AoE, which you'll want to avoid. The trick is to quickly identify where the slow moving planet is and move well away from that general area. Just keep in mind that while the slow planet is slow, it will still move a little bit of the way around before the fast planet catches up. You'll see this attack quite a few times in the fight, so it's good to have a decent understanding of how to survive it. The next move to cover is Galaxius. This is very easily noticed by the huge graphic of arrows spreading away from the centre of the room. After a short amount of time, a meteor will drop in the centre, damaging and knocking back everyone in the party. Be warned that falling off the edge of the arena results in death. Now, the pro strat here is that Galaxius is never cast more than once per 2-minute window. This means you can use your arm's length or surecast cooldown to prevent knockback and ignore every one of these attacks. Try to keep this in mind because being able to ignore Galaxius will make things easier later. Some other attacks include Elenchos. This comes in 2 forms and is recognised by the End Singer approaching the platform. Take a look at her face. She'll either have her mouth open and glowing, or her eyes will show long tear streaks. These are tells to the type of AoE that's about to land. If her mouth is open, she'll line AoE the centre of the room, and if she's crying, she'll line AoE both of the sides. She'll often combo these together one after the other, so just keep an eye on her face. Next to cover is Death's Embrace. This targets everyone with a thin cone AoE, so spread out to avoid overlapping hits. Do note that when the move lands, the location of each player will be hit by a blackish feather. These feathers will then do a small AoE around them, so just move away. Another attack to look out for and easily avoid is Aporos. For this you'll need to... Jesus, I did really good on pronouncing that one straight away. For this you'll get 4 mini End Singer heads spawn in front of the boss, equally spread out. After a short time they will cast the line AoE in front of them. Just move to the gaps between them and wait for the shot. Now then, the tank buster here is called Hubris and hits both tanks in a small AoE. If you're a tank, just make sure you don't stand too close to anyone else, and just to mention, don't stack with the other tank either. With these attacks down, it's a good time to come back to Elegia. As you get deeper into the fight, you'll start seeing Elegia Unforgotten. This behaves in the exact same way as Elegia, 2 planets moving, one faster than the other. The difference is that after this attack explodes, the planets will rewind in time and freeze mid-explosion. After again a shortish amount of time, the End Singer will use Fatalism to rewind the planets and quickly explode them again. Effectively, all this means is that the AoE will occur a second time in the same place as the first explosion. The biggest twist is that when you're even further into the fight, the boss can use Elegia a second time before rewinding the first one, meaning you'll have 2 half-exploded pairs of planets to deal with. She'll always explode the first set of planets before the second, however you can also see which set is being fatalismed by the red line between her and the planets. The End Singer also likes to combine this with the knockback Galaxius, but remember, if you're skipping that with your arm's length or surecast cooldown, it makes it much easier to focus on distancing yourself from the right set of planets. Moving on to a much more easily avoidable attack, we have Ecstasis. This cast drops 5 mini End Singer heads in a plus shape on the arena. These will each create growing AoE pools underneath them until the only safe areas are the far gaps between them. The only tip here is that if you're melee, you'll want to move into the safe areas closest to the boss, obviously. Lastly, if the DPS isn't overpowered, you may see Interstellar. This film came out in 2014 and starred Matthew McConaughey sorry. It's an attack It's an attack where the boss will fly away and do a large line AoE through the middle of the arena. At the same time, 4 players will be marked with circle AoEs. Just move out of the big AoE and try to avoid stacking the small ones. If you do need to eat a small AoE, then just eat it, it's fine. As a side note, you can also see these small AoEs cast on 5 players outside of Interstellar, but that's hella basic to avoid. The cast for that is called Nemesis. With pretty much the main fight covered, we can move on to the ad phase. At some point you'll see a small cutscene with the end singer summoning an ad. As the tanks, it doesn't matter who picks this up, but just burn the thing before the despair duty gauge fills up, which is easy to do. For attacks, a meteor outburst puts a small AoE on each player, generic AoE avoid.png. There's Catastrophe, which is just decent group damage, and finally Meteor Radiant. For this attack, a number of planets will spawn in the air and descend down onto the arena for a medium AoE explosion. Each planet will create a beam of light towards its impact location, making it easy to tell where to run away from. As the tank, just pull the ad away from any nearby impact points. With the ad dead, the end singer will throw one last massive planet at you. Before this impacts, you'll see a warning on the screen mentioning how many seconds until oblivion. Tanks, listen up now. When this timer reaches around 5 to 4 seconds left, pop your level 3 tank limit break, which is given for free at this moment. This is the only way to survive. Everyone still takes a massive bonk on the head, so healers get everyone back up. Unfortunately, the end singer will deem it even funnier the second time and rewind oblivion and hit you again. At this point, all you can do is pray and watch the forced cutscene that I'm not going to spoil. Cutscene over and the fight is basically done. You still need to kill the boss, but this phase is quite short. There's a repeating AoE on some players to avoid and some group damage from wing attacks, but do not despair. You are not without allies. And that's the final day. If you've enjoyed the guide, then let me know, and if there are any other guides or perspectives you'd like to see, then check out my channel or feel free to ask me to create one. Thank you for watching and enjoy the end of the game. See you around, hero.